Hey, everybody, we're going to try something a little bit different this time. If you're familiar with the Sales Success Stories podcast, you know that those interviews can be lengthy, and this is no different. I think we went a little bit over an hour in my conversation with Kyle Rasmussen, but wanted to give you just a little bit of a preview and a taste and a couple of the highlights. So Kyle has joined me today to do that. Kyle, why don't we start with one of the things that you're doing that I thought was fantastic is you've got kind of this mindset around you want to be different than every other SDR out there. What does that mean, and how are you doing that?
Yeah, so there are so many great thought leaders out there that are putting out a lot of really great content. Like Sam Nelson, he's got his Egoji Sequence. Dale Dupree has this handwritten note thing that he does. Beck Holland's got her flip the script sequence. There's all these different sequences, and I find that a lot of SDRs out there take on to one of those methodologies. And so prospects are getting trained, oh, this is another Egoji sequence, this is another. And so what I do is I know that that they work, but I like combining all of those into one thing. So when I hear that something's working, so I know the Egoji sequence works, I know these handwritten notes work. What if I just put handwritten notes instead of took pictures of handwritten notes and sent them an email with the Egoji sequence? And so it's combining like two things that are proven to work out in the market, but are things that no one else is doing because no one else is thinking of combining them. At least I haven't heard of it. So
yeah, great stuff. And obviously we talked a lot more about that in the episode. And so folks, if just pull out your podcast player, whatever you use to listen to podcasts, look for Sales Success Stories, make sure you're subscribed and download Kyle's episode. There's going to be a lot more of that. One of the other things that I really enjoyed is the way that you are focusing on the inputs and not so much on the results, almost as a way to protect your psychology, right? And make sure that you don't ever feel like you're losing. Talk about that and how that sort of informs your performance, really.
yeah, so I don't focus at all on hitting my quota. What I focus on is the inputs that get me to that point. So I don't set goals of hitting 150% to quota. I don't do any of that. What I do look at though is I look at past performance and past in history and figure out, okay, what kinds of activities did I put in? What kind of outreach did I do that led me to this result? And so I just turned it into an equation. And so I need to send this many emails, I need to make this many calls, I need to send this many videos on LinkedIn, whatever it is, to ultimately hit that number. But I'm not focused on that number. I'm just focused on each day, the inputs that I need to do. And what that does is it protects me from being so, it protects me from finding my worth in where I'm at in comparison to my quota. Because I know I can control these things. I can't control what prospects say. I can't control if they take a meeting. I can influence them, but I can't control them. So that's been a huge help for me, just mentally.
Great stuff. Another place where we go into quite a bit of detail. And the last thing, you kind of drew me out a little bit. We had a really interesting conversation about what I think of as the professionalization of the SDR role. So there's a lot more in this episode. We just, again, wanted to give you guys a little bit of a preview. Pull out that podcast player app right now. Go to Sales Success Stories. Make sure you subscribe and give a listen to the conversation with Kyle and I. I think you're going to dig it. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Scott. Had a lot of fun.